Let's just see if we can still actually live stream this. If this stream gets shot down again, then I'll have to look into YouTube alternatives for continuing this series. I guess until this whole COVID crap blows over. Last stream most certainly wasn't supposed to be only 17 minutes long, but YouTube's automated copyright detection system had other ideas. And who knows if this stream could get shot down within 20 minutes too. And if it does, I'm actually both streaming this and locally recording it, in case I end up losing the stream, because it gets just shot down by whether or not it's true copyright strike. Listen to me when I'm talking to you. Okay, so this is a bread, wasn't it? Don't give me ooh, and you! Just what are you feeding Machina? Like I said, beans. She just had a mouthful, hardly a big deal. Beans? Whoa, what? What's with this depressing, lonely businessman in his 40s lunch? Beans are nutritious. There's no problem. Honestly, not too much happened in this section. I didn't even get time to really start it before I actually couldn't continue streaming last time I tried to stream this live on YouTube. So I don't know exactly. Hey you, don't just start eating my food. I guess it is pretty good. But this is canned stuff, isn't it? Well, the beans and the tomatoes, yeah. I love canned food too! Is this after Amane tried hitting on Yuji? Yes, this was briefly after. Look, stop eating it already. This is all I've got. Speaking of canned food, I've been wondering this for a long time. How do they peel those canned mandarin orange slices so perfectly? They don't. They melt the skin off with acid and alkali. And he'll likely record it too? Oh, Reiko's gonna play Castlevania? Nice. Seriously? That sounds kinda bad for you. Don't worry, the chemicals are neutralized and they wash the fruit with water after. It's perfectly safe. That's a relief. Hey, you. The girl's already halfway through my lunch. Sorry. As an apology, we'll split some of our lunch with you, okay? It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm not desperate enough to start stealing other people's food. Come on now. We've got plenty. No need to hold back. Behold! With that exclamation, Amane brings out a huge wrapped lunch. Looks like she's actually got a number of boxes stacked on top of each other. Feast your eyes on a true work of culinary art. Opening the lid, she reveals a box packed with a rich variety of vividly colored side dishes. Practically indistinguishable from a delivery lunch from some well-established restaurant. I see. No wonder the neighborhood calls this place the Money Sink Academy. Pretty luxurious for a school lunch. This isn't one of the catered lunches. I made it. Seriously? Haven't I already mentioned? My family runs a Kyoto-style restaurant in Kanda. Kyoto food in the district of Tokyo? My mom's the daughter of an old-school Kyoto restaurant, and my dad's a cook from Kanda. No kidding? So that's where Amane's infrequent lapses into that weird Kansai accent come from. And come to think of it, the short-tempered, vaguely masculine side of her personality makes a lot more sense knowing that her father's from a blue-collar neighborhood like Kanda. Amani's crazy good at cooking, you know? She's not a big fan of meat, so we don't get much of that, but what she does make is super delicious. Oh, debug, hi. You don't eat meat, Amane? I hope not. But I'll work something out if it does. Won't be easy to actually get people to watch the videos if I have to work something out, but I'll work something out. Bit of a surprise. I had you down as a carnivore for sure. Well, it's not like I'm vegetarian, and I can cook meat just fine. But you know, if I get too much protein, I'll end up growing even bigger, which I kinda like to avoid. What? Your breast's getting too heavy? I'm talking about my height! Ah, well, I guess you can't exactly shed inches the way you can pounds. Of course, cutting back on meat now isn't going to make Amane any less imposingly tall. That said, if she keeps a careful eye on her diet, it might help maintain the status quo. Bit of a reactionary approach, considering she's already pretty damn tall, but I guess that's just your typical passive Japanese mindset at work. As JB once told me, there aren't many Japanese who go to the dentist before their teeth start to hurt. But I guess boys want their meat, huh? I'll make some next time. So make do with this for today. I'm not a huge fan of meat myself. More importantly, I'll take care of my own food expenses. You don't have to worry about my tastes. I'm making Makina share every day anyway, so adding a little more isn't that big of a deal at all. No need to hold back. Why are you so determined to stick your nose into my eating habits? I don't know yet. I'm not supposed to know the details of exactly what's gonna happen in each of these characters' routes. Because then my reaction wouldn't be genuine if I already knew what was gonna happen to some of these characters. Or what happened in their pasts. So much darker than just depression. I mean, that's still pretty dark too. Like, I've had bad depression my whole life. Right? I don't get it. In other words, they just want to play house? Or maybe somebody, say the principal, ordered them to become friends with Kamizi-kun for some reason? Either way, I prefer to maintain some distance. Especially during these pressing times. That's pretty bold of you, Yuji, to want to maintain some distance. I can't be as casual about this as a normal student might be. I have too many things I'd like to keep to myself. I mean, isn't it a little sad to be eating rice and beans for lunch at your age? I'm used to simple food. Okay, that too. The whole I'm used to being bullied thing. That's also pretty pathetic. Just what have you been eating until now? Well, I don't know. Nothing special. When I was a young kid, I may not have gotten much in the way of luxury, but I ate normal meals. Are there any gay kids in this? There's gotta be. Not yet. I would be surprised if there isn't any gay kids in this. My current emphasis on low-effort, nutritious food is the product of the way they did things at my previous school. Pardon my French, but at that place the principal was eat fast, shit fast. In the morning, we were kicked out of bed at 6 a.m. sharp for roll call, exercise, and running. And once all that was done, everyone made double time to the mess hall for breakfast. The way the schedule worked out, we never had more than a few minutes to eat that meal. Anyone who took their time would get a dressing down from one of the seniors, so everybody stuffed whatever food they could grab into their mouth and force it down their throats as fast as possible. Lunch was slightly different in that the sheer amount of food they gave us became a challenge. The piles of meat and vegetables would have been hard enough to handle alone, but they'd throw in a heaping bowl of rice as well. We were expected to cram all that into our stomachs in about 10 minutes, washing it down with miso soup. Naturally, we weren't allowed to leave a scrap of food in our plates. Vomit it up and they'd tell you to push it all back down again. In other words, the taste was not exactly the first thing on our minds. I never enjoyed eating that much in the first place, so once my meals became outright painful, approaching food in a purely business-like fashion felt like the natural response. Nothing but rice and beans for lunch might seem sad to Amane, but I'm not fighting my friends for a can of food. And I've even got fruit as a dessert. By my standards, this is a high-class, elegant meal. I mean, you're always making this face that just screams, I'm only eating because I have to. Can't we do something about that? If my face is putting you off your food, I suggest you don't look at it. Jeez, you're such a wet blanket. Your beautiful big sis is offering to make you lunch, so this is the part where you stop being stubborn and say thanks. What now? Yeah, you're right about this one, sorry. Huh? What? You're suddenly going along with it? This is a little freaky. Well, can't hurt to play along once in a while. To tell the truth, I had a similar discussion in the past with another pushy woman. Ended up turning into an outright fight. A certain busybody German had this habit of coming to the mountain cabin where I live with my master. mainly to subject us both to shrill nagging sessions. She'd barge in, clean up without even asking permission, make food nobody asked for, and then leave just as quickly. I think the woman must have gotten some sick pleasure out of it. One day in particular, I got pretty indignant when she put away some book I was in the middle of reading. I ended up firing off a line, "You're not my damn mom," with predictably unpleasant results. Well, it wasn't exactly the first time we'd fought, and it's true that I found her constant meddling annoying. So I honestly told her as much. Serious mistake. The woman in question, already a full-grown adult, spat out the supremely childish words, "Fine, see if I care." And then all of things she broke down in tears, leaving me in a complete bewildered panic. Since that disastrous experience, I've learned a lot about how to handle women. The first lesson, knowing when to back down, is crucial. Don't resist a woman's kindness. When a woman gets worked up, words don't get through to her. And the most troublesome lesson of all, women of the busybody type remember the smallest grudges through all eternity. I'm happy you're willing to make lunch for me, but don't feel like you have to do it every day. I'd appreciate it when you have the time. Sorry. You know, I wasn't really trying to be that pushy about this. Well, I mean, I know your intentions were good, Amane. I don't have a reason to refuse that would satisfy her. Not one I can bring up here, at least. Anyway, I'm not looking to make the atmosphere in the classroom awkward over something like this. As for Amane, I don't know how she interpreted my sudden change of tune, but she sounds downright contrite about her aggressiveness. We're both being mature about things all of a sudden. Guess the two of us are still capable of being reasonable with each other. Seems like a good sign. I'm hungry, hombre. There go the last of Yuji's beans. Since when? Who could have done such a thing? You know, no shame. Well, a healthy appetite is a good thing. Talk like that and she'll take your rice balls and apple too, you know? Apples are my number 2 fave. Right after strawberries. Oh, this guy looks tasty indeed. Okay, now what is she eating? Who is this guy she's eating? You just had an apple this morning. Don't be such a glutton. I don't really mind giving her the apple, but I thought you said Makina didn't have that big of an appetite. Well, I guess it'd be better to say your eating habits are totally unbalanced. She won't eat at all for a while, but when she does, she'll pack away 3 meals at once. Sounds like a bit of an exaggeration. Where would the kid be storing all that in this tiny body? I had the same thought, but it's a fact. Some nights she'll polish up a huge dinner, then sidle up to me and say, "I'm hungry," 5 minutes later. Well, everybody has days like that. No, they really don't. Strange. Maybe she works like a mole or a rhino? Inefficient at absorbing energy from her food, so she has to keep stuffing herself or she'll starve to death? Let's not waste time talking about this. I'll spread out the lunch. Not gonna give me a hand. I was about to say, not much happens here until you get into the more in-depth roots for each of the individual characters. And even then, this main route's pretty long. Amane pushes one of the stacked lunch boxes at me. Inside, there's deep-fried tofu covered with red bean paste, accented with thinly sliced boiled daikon radish, not to mention broccoli with sesame sauce, fried burdock root, Kyoto-style grilled mackerel, and chicken meatloaf. Together, they can make an amazingly well-balanced and elaborate meal. Holding back at this point would be downright rude. I thank her for the food and extend my chopsticks to the sliced daikon radish. There's more of a point than just that. Amane's cooking is somewhat light on the seasoning. I mean, I personally didn't pay $50 to just hear about how people cook and eat. He told me it was going to be way more interesting than just listening to people eat. Physicist. to my tongue used to preservatives and artificial coloring. Her food seems extremely gentle. Probably because I haven't eaten real home cooking in a long time. It tastes even better than I'd expected. Yeah, you did hear that right. What was that? Amane, you really are an excellent cook. It's an absolutely massive visual novel. Yeah, just picture like a 300 to 400 page book at least. But instead, it looks like this. Well, I was born to a family of cooks and all, and didn't you already eat my cooking just the other day? Yeah, true. The dinner room was a simple stew, and the main ingredients were just some off-the-shelf fish products, so there weren't any real surprises. But this meal is the vaguely nostalgic essence of home cooking. The taste calls up faded memories of the meals my mother served me. Honestly, it's a bit of an emotional jolt. My mom used to say, don't care if you turn out stupid or plain-faced, but you're gonna learn to make food. So far, I haven't had any control over the novel at all. Hey, Oni-chan. I'll feed ya. How about an egg? Want an egg? Say, No, I'll feed myself, thanks. Come on! Even eating with others like this is a concession on my part. This is going way past ticklish and into seriously awkward territory. Machina thrust the omelet toward my nose with a clumsy grip on her chopsticks. I instinctively pulled back and turned a frank scowl in Amani's direction. Hey Amane, do something about this girl, or so my glance was intended to convey, but instead, Amane bites her lower lip lightly, and an irrepressible smile spreads across her face. Grabbing a Kinpura burdock root with her chopsticks, she presses it towards my face, which I turned away from Machina. Come on! Brutus! Etsu! You got cute girls on both arms, hand-feeding you, you know? Royal treatment, am I right? That's right, you know. How about you get the message already? That's my line. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Theoretically, I should gain distance. Then suppress each target individually. Step 1. I need a chance to take evasive action. Have to create some sort of distraction. Everyone in this room is now a potential weapon of last resort. My frantic gaze settles on Sakaki, sitting alone in silence, picking food from a catered lunch with her chopsticks. Sakaki, I'm begging you! As Sakaki glances towards the side of the corner of her eye, I send her a desperate SOS with my gaze. Her own silent message follows. Please, don't think you're going to drag me into this. A truly cold and heartless answer. A brief please try to eat a little more silently from your mouth could save my life, and you abandon me? I've just witnessed with my own eyes the tragic moment. Long years trusting in the superpowers umbrella. Forbidden from developing a military, still shedding blood and sweat in defense of our nation. All come to naught. Sakaki! Sakaki, my friend and ally! In the end, I was nothing to you but a shield against the menace of Amane and Machina? A sacrifice to suffer in your place when the time came? No reason to spare, Kazami Yuji. From the start, you were a mere pawn in the great game. A dog kept alive on the whims of your masters, and you threw away the right to expect mercy from God a long time ago. Didn't you know as much? It's too late now to think of the national interest. All that's left to me is to embrace this moment of reckoning. Endure the unendurable, suffer the insufferable. Find the cool serenity of still water. Is this annoying to you? What? Getting pushed into my little games and all. It's probably a pain, isn't it? Maybe you just want me to leave you alone? Maybe this is incredibly annoying. But it's the best I can do right now. I can't think of any other way. I don't know about your past, and even if I did, I couldn't do anything about it. Okay, I'm still alive. Nice. Other than offer hollow sympathy, which I won't. I know how miserable that feels on the receiving end. I guess I'm just doing this to make myself feel better. Sorry, but could you grin a bear for my sake? In other words, just give up already. Come on, open wide. This is Suomane woman is too clever at times. When she puts it like that, no matter how badly I want to escape the situation, there's no way I can bring myself to run away. That ruthless way she cuts off my path to retreat is nostalgic in a way. Reminds me of my big sister. Then again, compared to Kazuki, I guess Amane's methods are almost charming. As that thought passes through my head, the tension naturally drains from my body, and I let my something fall open. Debug would like to watch my broadcast. Shift tab to view. How do I get this off my screen? Okay, now I can't even get this off my screen here. Right, it's stuck on my screen. Can't get it off. Alright, I literally can't click anything right now. Shift tab, I did that, and now everything's just like frozen. Okay, now we're good. Everything was just frozen for a second there. I couldn't click anything. Now it's all perfectly fine again. I don't know. I press Shift and Tab, and then I can't even interact with anything on that screen after I press Shift and Tab. Tasty? Not exactly sure. Yeah. The food is good, to be sure, but what's with this stifling feeling? The reassuring taste of home cooking. The experience of eating with others. These are exactly the sort of things people associate with intimacy and happiness. But in counter-reaction to the peaceful atmosphere, a dark thought spreads through my mind. I shouldn't be sitting here. My chest feels tight. Drawing breath is uncomfortable. I'm off balance. I know exactly why. I spent 1.5 years since my master's death keeping my distance from others. He's been taking quarantining seriously. In that time I've grown starved for this sort of contact. And I don't want to admit that to myself, because that means facing the question, do I deserve an ordinary life? Do I have the right to an everyday routine existence? Living for small moments of happiness? It's fine. Huh? It's fine, go ahead and tap some for my share. Yeah. That's right. You're a growing boy. Eat it all up. Get nice and plump. Come on. Look, I told you I can feed myself. I've got to get used to this sort of thing sooner or later. I want to believe that, but there's a part of me that can't. Even now. There's a nagging discomfort in the corner of my mind. There's always a side of me that accepts, a side of me that denies. What do you mean by spank bank time? If it is what I think it is, yes, a few of those scenes do happen, but I'm playing the all ages version where those were actually cut out of the game. Okay, so can we stop talking about food and eating? Just like at any other school, the start of a recess period here means that someone runs off to buy drinks for the group. There was a similar system at my previous school, so the event itself is familiar. The fact that our designated gopher puts on a maid uniform for the task, on the other hand, is still going to take some getting used to. Alright everyone, please let me know what you'd like to drink. I feel a little bad that you're always the one to do this. Green iced tea, please. Think nothing of it. I'd be making the trip to buy my own anyway. Alright, a green iced tea for Amane-san? Okay then, milk tea for me. Yes, milk tea for Michiru-sama. Of course. I'd like some lemon tea. The usual sugar-free variety, I assume? Certainly. Kami-san, what's your pleasure? What's available? Well, for the most part, I think I should be able to obtain anything you request. In that case, I'll have university. Thought I'd keep the tea combo going. Okay, look, you just made that tea up. Hold the gum syrup. There's no such thing, okay? University? Tea? Okay, look, Sachan, the way you try really hard to understand everything you're told is a strength of yours. But sometimes it's also a weakness, you know? You know Sachi takes everything seriously, so don't confuse her with stupid jokes. I'll go with synchronicity! Now look what you've done. Now that dimwitted copycat's doing it too. True, my bad. But when you offer me anything, I think it's only natural to want to explore the limits. Okay, then I'll go with water. Make mine non-carbonated. Non-carbonated. Is it? In other words, he just wants mineral water. Certainly, now I understand. And how about Maki-chan? I'll take some milk. Make mine non-carbonated. Mineral milk. What the heck was with that attempt at the cool guy voice? It's my Oni-chan impression. Not a problem. Her impression is bizarre, and nothing she's saying makes any sense. I'm at a real loss. Where do I even begin? Why the glare in my direction? This is all your fault, that's why. In other words, normal milk would be acceptable? Yeah, get me the tastiest one! Tastiest milk? Certainly. I'll be on my way then. Please excuse me. With those words, Sachi picks up the hem of her skirt and bows to us, then quietly leaves the classroom. Seriously, what a pain. Makina has been imitating Yuchi in anything and everything lately. Well, this girl's always been easily influenced, like that foul mouth of hers. Hate to say it, but she picked that up from you, Amane. I'm not foul-mouthed, okay? I'm just the type to say what I'm thinking, instead of stewing over it forever. If she's telling you that was a bad influence on the girl. Not to say the little foul language strikes me as that much of a problem. Well, yeah, compared to how she was at first, I think this is an improvement? Sorta? Maybe? What? Was the girl even worse when she arrived here? That's not it. It's just, let's see. She used to be a lot quieter, you know? Mika's a kitten, really. Didn't take to anyone, didn't talk to anyone. Spent all her time playing with dolls by herself. Yeah, jeez. You don't gotta bring up ancient history here. Anyone has a thing or two in their past they don't want others to know about. And if you're attending a school like this, merely touching on the subject is probably enough to make someone's old wounds ache. There seems to be an established principle of mutual restraint when it comes to these sore spots. Our conversation shifts fairly smoothly away from the details. Well, the point is, compared to the fragile Makina we used to know, the current edition is an improvement. Don't feel like I've changed that much. Myself. No, but you've even started eating tofu lately. Tofu? This girl is a ridiculously picky eater, you know. It was a real pain about getting her to eat anything else, but all of a sudden she's gotten a lot better about trying new things. That's because Oni-chan. Having favorite foods is fine, but don't reject something you haven't tried. At least eat some before you decide to hate it. So the man says. Experience is the most useful possible form of knowledge. A precious privilege, reserved for those who manage to stay alive. Sometimes the most instructive and memorable lessons of all come from the deaths of your comrades. But I wasn't trying to preach to Makina or make any complicated argument about our values. I just wanted to get across that ignorance isn't something you should cling to proudly. You're only embarrassing yourself when you insist that you hate some food you've never eaten. Well, I'm honestly happy that she stopped with the picky eating. Not so much that she started imitating Yuji in all these weird ways, though. For example? Like I said, the way she talks? Haven't you noticed Makina's language getting weirdly arrogant and pompous lately? I wonder whose fault that might be. You're blaming me? You're the only person here who talks like that. Hey Makina, seems you've been coming off as a little arrogant lately? Better watch your step, got it? Duly noted. Look, this is exactly what we were talking about, okay? Huh? You talking to me, punk? Okay, what's with the sudden aggression? Well, the girl has always been easily influenced by others. And if you consider the positive effects it's had on her, is there really any reason to force her to suppress that habit? Oh, wise words. This girl knows what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just gotta lay off. Nice going, Yoshiko. Who's Yoshiko? I'm Yumiko. I'd appreciate it if you didn't scramble on my name for your amusement. Huh? That really worth getting mad about? I mean, couldn't we get her to just imitate our better habits? I think the problem's with the samples she's working off, to be honest. I really don't think you can talk. Thanks to everybody. I'm pretty happy right now, you know? I got my cheerfulness from Amani and learned to enjoy books through Yumi-chan. I picked up hard work and not giving up easy from Sachi. And Oni-chan showed me how to be strong and live with courage? Something like that? I guess pretty much everyone said Chiru-Chiru's taught me something, you know? Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Learn from me too, like my Tsundere skills or something? Why would I do that? What's that crap even good for? What? Can you please stop flatly denying my entire way of life without even batting an eyelid? It's okay. Now that I think about it, I'm learning from Chiru-Chiru too, you know? As a negative example. What the heck? You just called me an idiot after all. Yep, but I love ya. Huh? I love you a whole lot, Chiru-Chiru, so it's okay. Oh. Okay. I don't really get it. But, yeah. Really? What do you think? Mocking you ruthlessly, then switching to lovey-dovey mode at the end for maximum contrast? Tsundere enough for ya? Okay, I'm pissed off after all. Huh? But it's true that I like you a whole lot, you know? It's fun having you around, even if you are an idiot. Ah, that a fact? Nice to hear, thanks so much! Jeez, don't call me an idiot. Only idiots call people idiots, got it? Whoops, the break's already over. Huh? Sachan's really slow getting back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble. Why don't you call her if you're worried? Yeah. The station platform? What are you doing out there? What? Hokkaido? Why on earth? Wait. No, that's really okay. It doesn't have to be that fresh. You really don't need to go that far. What's happened? Seems like Sachi took the tastiest milk a little too literally. She was planning to go out to Hokkaido and milk a cow. That woman's devotion knows no limits. Anyway, come back right now. What? An airplane ticket? No, you really don't need to bother standing by for an open seat. Okay! What? An airplane ticket? You don't have to go out there. They sell fresh milk from Hokkaido in the supermarket right here, remember? Just buy it and come back, please. Okay, I think I might have been right about this one. Makina's personality getting warped might have been inevitable, considering the references she's working from here. Well, not to say that I'm any exception. I can only picture her just going to fly all the way halfway across the country, possibly, just to go milk a cow, while still wearing that maid's outfit for the entire time doing so. That and signing off on paperwork you haven't really read. And judging from the way Chizuru has the free time to call me into chat for no particular reason, even going so far as to make the tea herself. My guess may not have been that far off the mark. But well, even if that's the truth of the matter, pointing it out would no doubt hurt the woman's self-esteem. A good man knows when to keep his trap shut, as my master put it. So, oh, the principal. Long time no see. Are you used to the school yet? I don't know. Maybe too soon. Is there some problem with our accommodations? If you need anything in particular, submit an application and we'll... That's not what I meant. I don't know. It sort of feels like I'm just playing a student for some undercover operation. Can't quite settle down. Is that so? From what I've seen, it looks like you're rather enjoying yourself. Well, I won't deny that, but sometimes I catch a glimpse of myself smiling in a pane of glass and just flinch. It's like I'm looking at someone else. It feels awkward. I just want to ask that guy, "What's so funny, asshole? Who do you think you are?" And before I know it, the smile's fallen right off my face. Not quite sure I follow. Where are the guys? The main character is the only guy in the whole school. In fact, there's only 6 students. Must have not been paying that much attention, Debug. There's only 6 students in the entire school. Strange, I know. No, not even. This guy I knew told me a story about the time his parents caught him screwing a pillow in the middle of the night. In that moment, cursing his own idiocy, he longed for the release of death. I think that sense of shame might be somewhat similar. Yeah, only 6. Is there more to this story about your pillow-loving friend? Not really. How do we get on this topic anyway? Mind if I get back to the point? Feel free. Well, I like to think I do have some idea of what this must be like for you, but there's really nothing I can say other than you'll get used to it eventually, I guess. Well, we did have some men that encountered Yuji in a back alley and tried to beat him up for some reason. I don't think, like, the academy at a point even had more than 6 students anyways. Not from what I heard. So they've all got their own circumstances? Huh, figured as much. Just like you, the other students at this academy all have their own complicated reasons for being here. The reason this school was found in the first place has no small connection to personal circumstances of that sort. Likewise, the reason that we're operating with only 6 students is in large part because you're all special cases, useful for a test run. But the nature of these circumstances isn't made clear to any of the other students, or so it would seem. Forget about the students, we haven't disclosed the exact details even to your lecturers. Some of our students have delicate situations that shouldn't be clumsily meddled with. And some have things that need to be kept private to avoid major difficulties in their daily life. Like you, for example. Our school policy is based on the principle of self-help, I suppose. Help to enhance independent psychological recovery. In other words, you throw a bunch of losers together and hope they'll lick each other's wounds? That's a very misleading way to put it. Rather than forcing help on our students from above, we're trying to provide an education emphasizing the formation of bonds between peers. Sounds pretty when you put it that way, but basically, you gathered a bunch of rich kids who couldn't handle regular school, raked in a ton of donations from people with a guilty conscience about how their children turned out, and then made up an excuse about healing in their own time when no one improved no matter how much money you threw at the problem? What? Goodness, what slander! I won't deny that we receive financial support from Sakaki-san and Irisu-san's families, but it's strictly above board. It's just that since our enrollment is so small, every individual student bears a large proportion of our expenses. And we're talking about private capital here, so there's a certain degree of flexibility with our funds. My bad, let's stop talking about money. Whether I'm right or not, this is just going to lead to a lot of outraged self-defense. I don't know, maybe some major deaths? Maybe some people died in some of these characters' backstories? Maybe? Where were we? Why'd you call me here in the first place? It's not that I had anything urgent to discuss with you. I just wanted to know if you'd encountered any problems with your new life here, that's all. Like I said, there's no real problems, just can't get used to this yet. But you have made friends, right? Are things going well on that front? With some more than others. As you know, I'm not the most sociable human being. And thanks to my master's influence, I've got a bit of a sarcastic streak. It does lead to some misunderstandings. Minor, are they? I have the impression that your communication with the others is somewhat warped, to be honest. What do you expect in a school that was founded to collect warped people and fix them? Or maybe to sweep them under the rug? Whichever. Beating the flaws out of a warped sheet of iron, gathering the failed works and stuffing them in some dark closet. This place is more like a metal shop than a school. Why does every conversation I have with you turn out this way? Didn't I just tell you? I have some issues with communication. I guess you might have been hoping that adding a truly twisted individual like myself would offset the others' warping and get them back on track. But apparently it hasn't worked out too well. You can think whatever you want, but I didn't invite you to this academy for such a mercenary reason. I'd like you to trust me on that. Gratitude toward the person who saved your life, is it? It is indeed. It was a coincidence that I was the one who saved you, and I was acting on orders. But from what they tell me, it couldn't possibly have gone that well if it was anyone else. If you hadn't been there, I wouldn't be sitting around drinking tea right now. Am I wrong? That's just something you arbitrarily convince yourself of. And not to repeat myself, but I didn't save you for any special reason. Arbitrary as it may be, I believe what I believe. And either way, I don't like leaving my debts unpaid. Or would you have preferred some other reward? No, you've done more than enough. I suppose I may be a little different from the normal school as you imagined it, and I won't deny you have a lot of unusual classmates. Well, we're still getting bits and pieces of what this is. Not that I buy every word coming out of the principal's mouth, but when you get right down to it, a place like this is probably just about right for someone with circumstances like mine. Tossing the likes of me into a run-of-the-mill school wasn't a great idea to begin with. Pushing my way into a crowd of people with completely different values probably would have made for a tense and irritating experience. Alright then, are we done here? Yes, I suppose so. If you have any complaints, please do let me know. I'm not going to promise I can fix anything, but I will always consider what you have to say. Got it. I actually want to ask you something while you're here. What are your thoughts on the other students? For example, what sort of person does Sakaki seem like to you? That's supposed to be the principal, yes? Sakaki, huh? I haven't known her for that long. And honestly, I can't say that I have a particularly firm read on her. And to be perfectly frank, this is the woman who started slashing at me with a box cutter out of nowhere. I can't say that I'm eager to get deeply involved with her. Alright, these are just my impressions. If you put it nicely, she's a rational type that doesn't waste her time. Put it harshly, she's just apathetic. Unless it's blocking her way, the girl's not going to bother picking up something that falls down. That's how she comes off, at least. That applies to her relationships with others as well. Sakaki seems to avoid getting involved with someone unless she absolutely has to. She'll respond when you talk to her, but rarely joins the conversation otherwise. I guess you could interpret her quietness as an attempt to avoid hostility or attempts at intimacy from others, but I think it's partly that she simply doesn't understand how to build relationships of mutual trust. And if someone else tries to bridge that gap, she'll take it as an intrusion on her territory and violently reject them. I think those are the major points. I've been consciously trying not to be too pushy or intrusive with her, but well, I haven't gotten that far. How about Matsushima-san? Michiru, huh? The girl's off her rocker. The other day I saw her wandering the dorm hallways moaning with cling wrap rolled around her head. What kind of ritual is that supposed to be? I'm fairly sure she was just bleaching her hair. She needs to repeat that about once a month to maintain her color, but apparently the chemicals she uses are quite painful. I see. I still remember that scene, and some of the other students thought she was actually being probed by an alien. It seems like she wasn't wrapping foil on her head to protect from occult mind control rays after all. Incidentally, is that hair color allowed by the school regulations? I suppose it might not be the best thing for our public relations, but we're a private school. It's not like her hair is causing any particular problems with discipline. No need to force her to stop. What do you mean? Do you know why Matsushima-san bleaches her hair? She said I'm a tsundere, so it has to be this bleach blonde way. But I don't know anything more than that. What the heck is that? Tsundere? Okay, to sum the girl up, she's just a generally incompetent human being. Oh! Although you might get distracted by that flashy blonde hair at first, it's not representative of who she really is. That coloration is actually a warning signal. By going out of her way to be highly visible, she's not saying to everyone who sees her that I'm poisonous. But in the end, it's nothing more than an empty threat. Michiru's so weak that she feels the need to project hollow menace and self-defense. The girl wouldn't last a minute on her own. She has to form symbiotic relationships to survive. But she's also counterproductively cautious around others, and has a hard time trusting their charity or affection. In that sense, Shachi's a unique presence in Michiru's life. If you ask me, Michiru might be trying to figure out just how selfish can I be before Sachi rejects me, by slowly pushing out the limits of her kindness. She's just an incompetent human being. That's just savage. What? For the record, these are just my opinions based on what I've seen of Michiru, so I might be completely off base. Fuck, that's harsh. A completely incompetent human being. No, what's more, you have some quite insightful observations. I'm a little surprised. People do call me perceptive sometimes. Come think of it, didn't you have an older sister? Not the only reason in my case. What are your thoughts on Sachi? On the surface, she's just insanely serious about everything. Kind of an awkward girl. I think she's got the idea that diligent obedience is her only redeeming feature. I don't know. I better still be alive. Okay, I'm still alive. Guess you could classify her as a tortoise rather than a hare, but it seems like she's decided that for herself, like she's just given up on developing her talents any further. Basically, she's the type who thinks about resolving a huge problem over the course of 10 years of hard work. She seems incapable of even considering a search for easier methods, let alone turning to others for help. If you told her to build a castle here, she'd start stacking up stones by herself. She's serious, honest, and follows any instruction she's given obediently, to the point where she often seems more like a robot than a human being. The girl's faithful to her orders, but she doesn't think about efficiency when carrying them out. It's almost like she's punishing herself. If someone doesn't teach the girl to let off some steam, she's going to explode someday. I think you're right. I said something was harsh. Pretty much how... What Yuji said about Michiru was pretty harsh. Well, to be honest, she's completely off her rocker. She's kind of a tsundere. Principal asks what a tsundere is. Well, she's basically an incompetent human being. I'll have to be more careful about that. Try not to fall into the mistake of thinking I've created an appropriate setting so that I can just leave the students to take care of themselves. You know how to hit me where it hurts. What about Maki and Amane? Is she gonna ask Yuji, like, what he thinks of those two? I try to ask for an interview whenever there's a convenient moment, and have the students who are less comfortable talking submit diaries. Diaries? Well, I guess you could call it that. Maybe picture diary would be more exact? Machina, is it? You were indeed perceptive. It's a little difficult to understand that girl, and she'll frequently forget the topic halfway through the discussion. No, not really. So I decided to have her put anything that comes to mind down on paper and hand it in. She was surprisingly good at drawing. It's actually quite fun to read. I see, yeah, in Machina's case, I think a diary would probably be more coherent. I must say, it seems like you've gotten quite friendly with Irisu-san. That's very unusual, you know? Amane told me the same thing. But Machina has a shyness of strangers significant enough to cause difficulties in their everyday life. How exactly did you get her to accept you? Piece of cake, just taught her a few grown-up games. Now she comes by my room every night. It's a joke, don't give me that look. That really is a joke, yes? If you ask me, Machina is kind of the exact opposite of Michiru. She plays up her own weakness to take advantage of the protection of others, like her bizarre speech patterns and quirky habits. The aggressive way she cuddles up to people, all that. I think it's something she does by instinct to invite compassion from the strong. That sort of trick works on many men, but is not going to make her popular with her own sex. Wouldn't be surprised if she's been bullied as a result. The reason Machina is taken to Amane so much is probably because of Amane's unusually strong protective instinct. But I think Amane's large body and the oddly masculine parts of her personality are also a factor. If you want Machina to like you, communicate that you don't intend her any harm. Then demonstrate that you're strong. She'll sidle up to you herself. That sounds like a pretty warped, or rather, pretty mercenary basis for a relationship. Don't know about that. It's a fact I don't dislike Makina, and she herself understands perfectly well that I've seen through her. Fact is, Makina is much smarter than she lets on. You really don't find this arrangement even slightly problematic? That's not what I'm saying. For one thing, it's not like I can always be around to protect her. If you're completely convinced that someone's going to keep you safe at all times, you'll turn into the sort of person who can't do anything in a real emergency. Amane's enough if she wants someone to spoil and protect her. I'm trying to convey the value of independence and self-defense. Are we still talking about Irisu-san? Or is that a commentary about her future as a nation? An interesting interpretation. Just a joke. Alright, last up would be Suo-san. Your thoughts? Oh, Amane. She's the biggest mystery to me. Her painfully cheerful personality and burning need to help others are one thing. But I have no idea why she clings to me so persistently. I believe she said herself it was love at first sight, didn't she? That's what I don't understand. See me walk by and your first thought is going to be, that's a suspicious character. And she's saying she fell in love with me at first sight? She might be the most deranged of all of them. I don't have any answer. So let me ask you instead, what kind of woman is she? What kind? I'm pretty sure what you see is what you get. She's cheerful, energetic, and just as reliable as you'd hope from the oldest student here. Hold on just a sec. Will you? The principal flips quickly through the documents she's holding. She took a year-long leave of absence from her previous school, so she's actually 2 years older than you. Hey now, you shouldn't give away a woman's age like that. Pretty cruel. She's still young, that hardly matters. In that case, how many years older than me are you, Chizuru? What's the matter? You've inexplicably broken into a sweat. She was the second to arrive at the academy, following Sakaki-san. I didn't ask you about that. And the day after her luggage arrived at the dormitory, she shows up on, what's the word? A chopper? You know, the kind the American biker gangs ride. Alright, I get the picture. Guess I'll give up on the age thing. Anyway, they're all good kids, so please do try to get along with them. Can't make any guarantees, but I will put in the effort. Are we done here? Yes, you're free to leave. If there's ever anything you'd like to consult me about, come by anytime. Alright then, I'll be going. I can't quite get used to my life at this school. I was being perfectly honest when I told Chizuru that my own smile feels awkward to me. A normal student life in a normal school. It's hard for me to believe how readily I'm accepting these small fragments of happiness. Or maybe right. Maybe it's hard for me to forgive. I don't think I'm really feeling awkward when I see that smile. I'm feeling guilt. It feels like foul gas gathering on my body, like my blood's turning black and viscous in my veins. A stifling sensation, as if my lungs are slowly filling with cold poison. Look, you. Do you really think this is what you should be doing right now? Vague, impatient questions dominate my mind. I feel a pressing need to do something, but no concrete course of action presents itself. The principal tells me that I'll get used to this soon, but what good would that do, even if I could? No matter how I change, none of the things that I've lost are ever coming back. In the field, interpersonal relationships resemble the interlocking of pieces in a puzzle. In order to form a coherent larger picture, the players fix every piece into its place. I move according to their instructions, take the position they designate for me, and carry out the tasks they assign to me. In many cases, the players prepare a number of spare pieces as insurance against the unexpected. The pieces in question realize that they're expendable and are prepared for the possibility they may be used as sacrifices. I always hated watching as people were sent to their deaths, but I also understood the rules of the game we were playing. Pawns aren't allowed to move on their own selfish impulses. The first priority is always to win. It's probably because I've spent so long in that sort of world, but friendship has become a mostly theoretical concept for me. The word rings a little hollow in my ears. Not to say that I'm skeptical of its existence, but to me it almost seems like something out of a magic show. Show me two people swearing we'll be friends forever and I see some TV psychic bending a spoon. Makes me want to pull back that curtain they've set up around their feelings and see what's really going on in there, how the trick really works. is sour. So sour! As usual, Michiru is gulping down that bitter soft drink to maintain her vitamin C intake. If she's that determined to keep up this absurd daily dose, wouldn't taking supplements be more efficient? There are pills that contain daily supplies of a wide range of vitamins. The idea would be to get everything you need from your meals, but that would involve eating buckets of vegetables daily, which isn't easy to keep up. It's not a great idea to become completely dependent on pills for your nutrients, but I don't think there's any problem with using them to complement your diet. Incidentally, Michiru. How long have you been there? Are you the stalker? Why don't you just take supplements? What are you talking about? If you want to keep up a regular vitamin C intake but don't like sour things, wouldn't it be easier just to take a multivitamin tablet? Okay, cut the maggot. I'm asking you a question. Why do you torture yourself by drinking this stuff when there's an alternative? You might look smart, but it seems you're surprisingly dim-witted at times. Are you an idiot or what? That's not what I... the answer should be obvious. It's much easier for the body to absorb the vitamins when they're in liquid form, of course. Just think about it for a second. If you drop some water and a piece of candy on top of dry sand, will it get absorbed faster? Come on now, spit it out. Almost certainly the water. You see? In other words, the liquid vitamins will be absorbed much more easily by my parched body. Did we learn something today? Are you saying that your body is composed of dry sand? I'm not sand. There's no way it could be sand. I was just talking about being thirsty. That's why I said parched. Because my throat gets all dried out, obviously. 99% in all three of the stats. Who are you calling dried out anyway? Am I some leftover rice you found stuck to your shirt? How dare you imply that I'm rice? Who are you calling the rice goddess? How dare you imply that I'm rice? I get the feeling you'd end up in an infinite loop if I let you keep going here. Anyway, I guess I showed you. I'm pretty smart myself at times, right? Yep, Michiru's right about this one. The rice goddess is always watching over us, so you better eat up every grain with respect or face a rice-flavored wrath. No, that wasn't exactly what we were talking about. By the way, since I heard you've been seeking sour stuff, I got a little something ready for you, Michiru. Ta-da! Amane takes out an airtight plastic bag filled with powder. Although I didn't have her down as a drug trafficker, this is pretty suspicious any way you look at it. What's that? Heroin? Of course not! Don't be an idiot! This mystery powder's true identity is pure vitamin A. Not even vitamin C compared to this stuff. I gathered the sourest of the sour. Then refine them into the pure powdery essence of sourness. Custom made for you, Michiru. Come on, get it while it's sour. It's not like I enjoy sour stuff, you know. Still, you've had this chance to challenge the sourest of the sour dropped in your lap. Might as well give it a shot. What? No way! Don't wanna. A veto, eh? Alright, you don't have to try it. I'll have a go instead. Sour things tend to be good for you after all. Well, except when the taste is the result of something going rotten. Amane, you didn't grind up spoiled meat to make this, right? Of course not. But then I'll try it. Huh? You're gonna swallow that stuff? Hold on a second, that's not... Sit tight and watch, Amane. You understand, Michiru? If you're not going to take this, I will. Here goes. This is, in this situation, a tsundere would. Hey you, hand that over right now. Michiru rudely snatches the plastic bag out of my hands and pulls off the twist side that was sealing it shut. It's not like I'm going to give you any. This is my A. Got it? Try too hard to play the tsundere and you'll end up as nothing more than the predictable contrarian. Michiru pours the stuff from the bag into her mouth, gulping it all down as though it were antacid powder. Hey, why are you swallowing it all at once? Just a teaspoon is plenty. Try telling me that before I swallow it, got it? My tongue. My poor tongue. It burns. This is way past sour. It's just bitter. Here you go. I passed Mitchell the 100% vitamin C drink she'd been working on earlier. Thanks. You said any drink at all. This was the closest thing at hand. Yeah, I said that, but this is obviously no good. Why do you have to be such a jerk at a time like this? Are you an idiot? Please. Anything is fine. Give me something else to drink. Okay, try this instead. Thank you. My special custom-made 100% vitamin A drink. What the heck? Hey, if you had something like that, why didn't you just give it to me? What's the point of making me swallow powder instead? I just brought the powder to show I was going to give you the version diluted in water to actually drink. Then tell me that beforehand, okay? Look, I tried to. When Yuji said he'd take the powder, I said, hold on very clearly, remember? Okay, maybe you did, but, you know, we need to work on this. More orderly communication, okay? For the sake of a less painful future. Was it that sour? Yes, it was sour. Of course it was sour. Not to repeat myself or anything, but I don't like sour stuff, okay? I just want my vitamins. I see. I have no idea why you're so stubborn about not using supplements. But if that's your way of doing things, I'll keep my opinions to myself. The ticking on my tongue is finally starting to die down. By the way, Yuji, as an ultimate tsundere, I can eat this stuff without batting an eyelid, but do you know if there's any foods to avoid eating with sour things? It's mostly just a bunch of old wives' tales, foods to avoid. Really? Well, don't get me wrong. It's not like I really care about that superstition or anything. So I'm so tough I eat grapefruit with everything, you know? That's how little I care. Sour stuff. I guess they clash with salty things, so the bad combinations will probably be stuff like eel or pickled plums. Supposedly, you'd get pretty severe indigestion. I really doubt it unless you just eat way too much. I do think I read something about nutrients in certain foods nullifying each other's effects, so if you can avoid the bad combinations, I guess you might as well. Learning from the wisdom of the ancients is all well and good, but I wouldn't get too hung up on myths like that. Even that famous legend about durian fruit and alcohol causing some fatal reaction turned out to be a load of crap. But why asking in the first place? Planning to start cooking? But that's not it. It's nothing. I don't even care about bad combinations, okay? Let alone cooking. I'm a tomboy. A spicy girl. A spacey girl? Grah! Shut up! So the truth finally comes out. Kiruchiwa really has been transmitted to outer space all this time. No. No, I have not! Are you really that concerned about bad combinations? Worried about your diet? Not worried at all. It wasn't on your mind. Why would you bring it up? No, that's not it, yeah. What's wrong? Your tsundere is starting to fade. No, it isn't! You don't need to go out of your way to point that out, got it? I mean, I'm usually aware of it myself. Oh yeah, IDK Velhai. Business convinced me to buy this. And I still have a long ways to go before I'm anywhere near finished with it. Still a bit to even get onto any of the main character's routes. And that's when he said it was actually going to get interesting. My, the gang's all here. Is this one of those drug parties I've heard so much about? Sorry, we already finished that up. Oh look, that's just a teensy bit misleading. Sachi, we didn't really have a party or anything, otherwise Yumiko would be here too, right? I'd never leave anyone out. I see, that's certainly true. Then I assume Sakaki-san is off reading by herself again? Sakaki-san sure does keep her distance, though. Not to say that we don't get along, but... she probably won't be catching COVID, just Sakaki. Really? I can already greet her with ease. Like, hello, Yumiko! How are you doing today? Not that I'm worried about your health or anything, got it? Piece of cake. I'm filled with admiration for Michiru-sama's gregarious nature. She throws herself into her target's bosom with all the elegance and precision of a broken-down dump truck. Yeah, I expect you to get carried away with that fairly regularly, probably resulting in a lot of nasty glares from Sakaki. Well, yes, I suppose that might happen every once in a while. So who does Sakaki spend the most time with, then? That's kind of a tricky one. I'm mostly looking after Makina myself. Dang straight. I'm leeching off of money around the clock. As for me, I suppose I ask Sachi for favors pretty regularly. Indeed, it's extremely frequent for Michiru-sama to pop up with a request just as I'm thinking about taking a break. But I find my work quite fulfilling, so I certainly can't complain. I know, right? Sachi's my personal maid. Then again, I also spend a lot of time together with Maki-chan, as we're the same age. Makin is a popular one. You better believe I'm popular! Unlike Chirichiru, well, with a personality that annoying, I guess it's inevitable, you know? Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Talk about rude! Michiru-sama, please calm yourself and try to accept the reality. You are not popular. Huh? Sachi? It's sad but true, Chirichiru. You really should work on making yourself some friends, okay? So, what? Do you all just talk to me out of pity? Don't think I'd go that far, but you're in the right neighborhood. Not to worry, Michiru. You can always make friends inside your head. They'll never reject you. Ah! Hey! What do you mean? How's that friend inside your head thing work? Michiru's reaction to my attempt at a joke isn't quite what I expected. She's staring wide-eyed at me, waiting on tenterhooks for more details. I take a deep breath and politely begin to explain. Well, the most common term would be imaginary friend. It's a fictional companion that lives solely in your imagination. Pretty typical in childhood. Some people only make one. Some people dream up a whole cast of characters. Although they'll usually drop the idea as they grow up, I've heard some people keep their imaginary friends even around even into adulthood. Imaginary friend, eh? Although Michiru listened carefully to my every word. It doesn't seem to have been what she was looking for. Her shoulders sag in disappointment. Okay, so just a fantasy for kids, basically. I guess some people have long conversations with their dolls or stuffed animals instead. Michiru does seem to like the type to get caught in their fantasies. Huh? That's not true. I'm an unflinching realist. I stare reality right in the face at all times. Kapow! Oh, that a fact? So what's reality, the way you see it? Huh? The nature of my reality? That's a pretty difficult question out of nowhere. Hold on a second, alright? Michiru folds her arms and closes her eyes. After a long moment of thought, she stands up straight and delivers her answer. My reality is the fact that I am here, at this moment! Judging from her dramatic delivery, Michiru must have thought that was a really impressive line. Sadly, her audience is less than responsive. There's a moment of awkward silence. Yeah, obviously, if you weren't here, how would we even be talking about your reality? Chirichiru, you tried too hard and ended up just saying nothing at all. Yeah, I guess that might have been a bit too hard of a question for Michiru. Michiru-sama, please don't be afraid to admit when you don't have an answer. If you're honest, Kazami-san won't ask you in the first place. I'm sure he'll go easy on you once you realize the depths of your incompetence. Everyone else does, after all. You are incompetent. Hey, why is everybody talking to me in that pitying tone? That answer just now was perfect. It was borderline metaphysical. Can you define metaphysical? Of course I can. What's the answer? Her flip-flopping has reached warp speed. You've disappointed me. I'm making a note not to expect anything from you in the future. Not that I've been previously, but I clearly need to lower my forecast even further. From this moment forward, I'll be formally handling you as an authentic, officially certified idiot. That word is forbidden. Don't stop. Okay, let's just ignore Miss Don't Stop for the moment. Fantasy abandonment, is it? Makina's come a long way. This ain't role-playing, you know? I really am ignoring you. Well then, moving right along, Yuji, I can't really imagine what kind of friends you've had. What sort of people did you play with as a kid? My friends. The words bring to mind a young girl I met under some very unusual circumstances. Our relationship was basically about helping each other stay alive, but I guess you could have called it a sort of friendship. Then again, after a while she disappeared from that place, and I was left to fend for myself again. Tricky question, I'm not the most socially gifted person around. Really? You are a bit grumpy at times, so I don't think you're as bad as all that. You have any ideas what kind of friends you'd like to have then? I'm drawing a blank on the concept of friends, so I decided to mentally substitute the term buddies. I think we can provide more concrete answers about the teammates I've known on the field. Well, I'll pass on anyone who holds me back. The useless ones don't have any right to complain if they end up getting shot in the back. Shot in the back? What kind of a setting is this friendship supposed to be happening in? Just a figure of speech. Nobody's actually going to shoot an ally. But you should try to learn who you can count on to watch your back and who you can't expect anything from, and how to deal with the latter. Dealing with the incompetent? Anyway, I like people who are easy to work with. I guess that's really the only thing I'm looking for, but to be honest, as long as they don't get in my way, I'm not going to complain. It's pretty pragmatic. Feels more like what you want from a coworker than a friend. Sometimes I think tools make better partners than human beings. They have a clear purpose, you know. Makes them a lot simpler to deal with. Yuji, I really don't think you should be treating people like tools. Didn't mean to imply that, I'm just saying that tools tend to be reliable. Once you've used a piece of machinery enough, it practically becomes a part of you. A simple extension of your body that does what you need. The more affection you give a tool, the more smoothly it operates. A tool won't betray you. Not often, at least. You kinda lost me here. Sorry, I got a bit off track there. To put it more simply, I don't think I've ever really had something you could call a best friend. That's not that rare. A friend is one thing, but it's pretty difficult to get that intimate with someone. I haven't really thought about this stuff too much, to be honest. Nor have I. I'm more focused on being of use to everyone. We've been discussing friendship for a while now, not that the concept has gotten any clearer for me, but at this point I realize that one person has stopped participating in the conversation. A certain bottle blonde has slowly taken her distance from the group in our friendly chat. Her face growing increasingly gloomy. Oh, Michiru? Her usual energy's vanished. Wonder if something's wrong. Wait, is she crying? Maybe her stomach's upset? As she demonstrated just a few minutes ago, the girl isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. As she is an idiot, it wouldn't be surprising if she ate food off the ground and found herself in intestinal distress. Yes, I can easily imagine the girl stuffing her cheeks with unidentified berries she found on some bush. I take a good careful look at Michiru. This is the face of someone who'd go scavenging in trash cans when she got a little hungry. No, my mistake. She probably doesn't even have to be hungry first. I can just picture her plucking some tasty-looking, colorful mushroom off the ground and shying it down without a second thought. Idiots are such a handful. Hey, what are you staring at me for? Perhaps she wandered down to the beach, spotted the crab, chased after it while drooling, then found herself under attack from a jealous macaque coveting the same prize? Honestly, does this woman have no sense whatsoever when it comes to her hunting and gathering? Just entering a wild monkey's territory is dangerous. What kind of fool goes so far as to try to steal their prey? Come to think of it, crab-eating macaques don't even live in Japan. Come to think of it, did this girl wander all the way to Southeast Asia just in search of something tasty to stick in her craw? This is just too much. I have to say something. What is it? You're kind of scaring me. Hello? Earth to Yuji? I abruptly jump off the sofa and drop my hands on Michiru's shoulders. Everyone flinches in surprise, but I pay no mind to their stares. I keep my gaze firmly focused on Michiru as I speak. It's amoebic dysentery, I'm sure of it. Huh? Huh? Don't worry, I have some experience with this. You were bitten by a crab-eating macaque, right? What's a crab-eating macaque? Try to learn from this experience. Stop scavenging for food for the time being. Don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing you for the thought. After all, procuring food from your environment is the most crucial and fundamental of survival skills. I'm very proud of you for trying, okay? Huh? Huh? That said, your particular actions in this case were mistaken. You acted rashly out of ignorance, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. I'll make sure this doesn't happen again, and... I sharply turned to face the rest of the group and raised my voice to a harsh shout. Let me just warn the rest of you right now, you don't have any right to look down on Michiru just because she's caught amoebic dysentery. This could have happened to any one of you. We're going to learn from this mistake. You're all going to know what plants are edible, which are poisonous, and how to avoid savage monkeys. I don't want you crying to me for help when the Japanese islands are covered in jungle. What? Alright then, first things first, I'll be accompanying Michiru for the moment. Come on, we're going to the bathroom. I need to get a look to confirm my diagnosis. Wait, just 1 second. You? A look at what? What are you even talking about? Krabby tins? Scavenging for food? I'm completely lost. You were scavenging for food, right? Hence the infection. Of course I wasn't. Don't just decide stuff like that without even asking. Then what's with the sweating? Your face is pasty and you got some nasty beads of perspiration on your forehead. You sure don't look healthy to me. Amane, watching Michiru and Meek with concern, enters the conversation. What's all this talk about jungles and crabs? Is Michiru alright? Not in the least. She's suffering from brutal diarrhea. I said that's not it, okay? But now that he mentions it, you don't look so hot all of a sudden. Are you feeling okay? I'm perfectly fine. It's nothing at all. Got it? Even if you don't have dysentery, we need to properly identify the problem. Whatever infectious disease you've caught, we'll need to take the appropriate countermeasures, understood? I'm telling you, I'm not... Michiru, does your tummy hurt? Are you okay? Michiru-sama, please let me take you to the infirmary. Not necessary, Sachi. There's a possibility she's still infectious. I probably have more experience dealing with this sort of thing than you. Understood. In that case, I will leave her in your capable hands. Come on, let's go. Look, I'm telling you not to make such a big deal out of nothing. I hate it when people make such a fuss about this sort of thing. Listen, maggot, how many times do I have to tell you not to make light of dysentery? The small things are what get you. You change your socks regularly when you're in Vietnam. And you always treat diarrhea with proper respect. I don't have dysentery. Jeez! You're awfully stubborn, but anyway, this illness sure came out of nowhere. You looked fine until we started talking about best friends or whatever it was. Michiru's face fills with pain. She clutches a hand to her chest, and the next moment, she's leaning heavily against the wall as if to keep herself from falling to the ground. What's wrong? Are you in pain? Please, just let me rest. I'll be okay in a second. Wait, is it your chest rather than your stomach? Yuji, please, just for a second. I'm used to this. Normally chest pain is something we should be responding to immediately, but it seems this is a familiar occurrence for Michiru. She has the most information, so for the moment I'll trust her judgment. Alright, if you say so, but don't overdo it. If it feels worse than usual, let me know right away. Fine, it's not like I want you to worry about me or anything, got it? You've got guts, young tsundere. She almost sounds like she's dying in front of me. In time, the beads of sweat on her forehead disappear and the expression of pain on her face fades away. I see. I tend not to trust sick people when they'll tell me I'll be fine as a general rule. But I guess sometimes the person in question does know best. I told you so, it's just a little anemia, that's all. Nothing you need to worry about. I don't think anemia typically causes chest pain. Well, it does in my case. So even if you happen to see this again, I expect you to just ignore it, alright? Also, I don't really want the others to know about this, so you need to keep quiet about it. If you've got a chronic illness, I think it'd be best if the people around you knew enough to react appropriately in an emergency. But if you're opposed to the idea, we can write a memo and stick it on your forehead. I'm telling you to keep quiet, so you're gonna keep quiet. Understood? If you insist. That's all I wanted to hear, okay? Let's go back. Hey everybody, I've returned triumphant. It was just a little anemia. Nothing to worry about. Oh, back already? Glad to see you're looking better. But of course, who do you think I am? Allow me to inform you. I'm the Tsundere King, Michiru-sama. I was very worried for a moment. Sachi, if you got the time to be babbling about that, why don't you get me something to drink instead? I'm super thirsty. I desire natural mineral water immediately, if not sooner. Certainly, I'll be just a moment. Ordering Sachi around the instant she comes back. I guess she really is back to normal. Little anemia is not going to keep me down for long. Flip the reset switch and it's all good. Alright then, let's get fired up again. Were we talking about anything that exciting in the first place? If we weren't, we are now. Full speed ahead! Considering this level of energy, I guess I don't need to worry too much. Once women get started with idle gossip in earnest, it won't end anytime soon. In accordance with that rule, the group's conversation stretches on endlessly. Finding a good moment, I slip away silently. When I leave the dorm, I bump into Sakaki, a non-participant in the ongoing girl talk. I know she's not the most sociable type, but even so, she's known the others longer than I have. She might have some sort of an answer for me. Hey, Sakaki. Just now, Michiru got sick out of nowhere. Don't worry, it didn't turn out to be anything serious. It seemed like she was actually completely used to it. Have you seen something like that happen to her before? No, not that I can recall. When I see her, she's always jumping around like an idiot. Which would mean she's trying to hide it. What are you talking about? Does Matsushima-san have a disease of some sort? No, I don't think so. Sorry for the weird question all of a sudden. No, that's quite alright. Incidentally, Sakaki, please don't mention what I said to anyone else. It seems Michiru doesn't want people worrying about her. I see. Well, I think everyone here wants their privacy. My lips are sealed. Thanks. I'll see you later. Relationships are difficult things. Too often we hide ourselves out of consideration for others and dress up ugly reality with happy lies. Keep it up long enough, and the truth is left irreparably tangled with fiction. Everyone understands that the ideal relationship is based on straightforward honesty, but that straightforward road feels as circuitous as a maze once you take the first step. Our hearts are hidden from each other, regardless of our intentions. As we stumble through the twists and turns of life, the most we can do is pray that we won't lose our way in the one maze we ourselves have created. But I think that might actually be the most difficult thing of all. If we could manage that much, every path would lie open to us. Back at the lobby again. In particular, when you're in a profession like mine, your holidays tend to be irregular and come with many restrictions on how you can spend them. Stopping this stream for now.